Mageriaphobia. So you've been tossing all night thanks to the intense hunger you're feeling, and you can't even order food because all the restaurants are closed. In fact, you could probably take down an entire whale, bones and all. But the second you even think about entering the kitchen, turning on the stove, you immediately break out into hives and goosebumps. Well, this abnormal fear of cooking or anything even related to being in the kitchen is known as Mageriaphobia. Basically just the idea of even handling food, a hot pan, or any cooking appliance would get you as anxious and sweaty as someone who's about to rob a bank. For you, cooking is the ultimate survival game. Now, people don't just wake up one morning and get scared of the kitchen and pots. This is because the fear often starts after you've experienced a really traumatic kitchen experience. Maybe you got hot oil poured on you or landed in the ER after getting food poisoning. This fear could also start in individuals who are obsessed about food safety and health. The fear that you might eat something that's not properly cooked or expired is good enough to keep you away from the kitchen and its environment. Genuphobia. After having the most amazing winter period, you can feel the weather getting hotter and people swapping out their fur coats for shorts and tank tops. But aside from the unmanageable heat wave and hot sun, you are literally getting ready to face your worst nightmare: knees. Yes, you heard it right. The sight of those knobby things connecting your thighs to the rest of your leg is the most scary thing you've ever encountered. This is because you have a phobia called Genuphobia, so your greatest fear is literally the only thing that helps us not to walk like penguins. You see, for someone with Genuphobia, just seeing a knee can be like staring into the abyss of monsters. Imagine walking through life like knees are the villains in a horror movie. It could be your own knees, someone else's knees, or even pictures of your knees. Now, this absurd fear is often triggered by trauma or injury. Maybe you once had a gnarly knee injury that left a lasting impression. Literally. That ACL tear wasn't just painful, but it became the stuff of nightmares. Also, some people just find knees visually uncomfortable, and to be honest, knees can be a little weird looking. The bumpy texture, those random scars, or the occasional moments when you can actually see your tendons could all trigger the fear. However, the saddest thing about this phobia is that, honestly, avoiding the sight of knees for the rest of your life would be a pretty hard task. Sure, you can wrap your own legs in bubble wrap and brown paper, but you can't ambush everyone with exposed knees to try and get them to cover it up. Papaphobia. It's the Easter holiday, and for you, that just means one thing: an excuse to stay in pajamas all day and binge watch your favorite shows without interruptions. Now you've even got snacks, a cozy blanket, and have settled into that perfect spot with a remote in your hand. However, instead of tuning in to your favorite show, you mistakenly press the button that takes you to a Catholic Pope officiating Mass, and just like that, your chill, relaxing day is completely ruined. This is because you have a phobia called Papaphobia, which is the mind-blowing, stomach-churning fear of, you guessed it, popes. You fear the men dressed in those long robes and tiny caps so much that even the sight of them on TV is enough to send you into a full-blown panic attack. We're talking about the works like heavy breathing, sweaty palms, heart palpitations, and dizziness. To someone with Papaphobia, seeing the Pope isn't a spiritual moment. It's more like a holy horror film. Now, people who have this fear are mostly children who grew up in a very strict religious household where the Pope might represent ultimate authority, judgment, or even guilt. Plus, it probably doesn't help that the Pope barely ever smiles. Disabilphobia. So, for the past 3 months, you've been wearing the same exact pair of jeans, polo, and sweaters. It doesn't matter that you smell like 1,000 skunks came and farted on you, or that there are very questionable stains all over your outfit. You don't even care that people are staying away from you in every social gathering because you stink. To you, all that is child's play compared to the actual thought of undressing. That is what really scares and bothers you, and this is because you have a phobia called Disabilphobia. Now, this phobia is because you have an irrational, intense fear of getting undressed. For someone with Disabilphobia, the idea of disrobing is as terrifying as finding a giant spider in your shower, only in this case, you are the one exposed. You'd honestly rather be a walking deodorant ad than get out of your clothes. The worst part is that it doesn't even matter if no one is there. Changing out of your clothes alone is like someone is asking you to dismantle a ticking time bomb attached to your favorite hoodie. In fact, the whole statement of just slip into something fresh might as well be a horror movie plot. This phobia often starts with some kind of traumatic experience. Maybe someone barged in on you while you were changing at the mall, or you got teased about your body once and it stuck. Seriously, living with this phobia can feel like navigating a minefield of unexpected nudity challenges. Pool parties? Nope. Spa day with friends? Hard pass. Even basic activities like trying on clothes or going through airport security can spark anxiety that feels, well, exposing. Pantherophobia. So you're getting up for a family dinner when someone whispers the words, "Your mother-in-law is coming." Suddenly, your palms are sweaty, your heart is racing, and you're wondering if it's too late to fake the flu. Well, this is because you have the weird phobia called pantherophobia, the fear of mothers-in-law. Yep, you heard that right. This phobia turns the already tricky relationship with the in-laws into a full-blown psychological thriller. You see, while many people experience a mix of anxiety, irritation, or the occasional dread when dealing with their in-laws, pantherophobia goes far beyond these typical emotions. It can evoke physical symptoms of panic, irrational avoidance behaviors, and a persistent dread that makes even the mention of a mother-in-law feel like impending doom. Sometimes a specific event sows the seed of pantherophobia. Perhaps the mother-in-law criticized your cooking in front of the whole family, or maybe she made a bitter remark about your life choices during a particularly vulnerable moment. Over time, these instances can accumulate into a general fear of encountering her again, as your brain associates her presence with discomfort or humiliation. The good news is that pantherophobia isn't a life sentence. With the right strategies like therapy, boundary setting, and even relaxation techniques, you can address the root causes of your fear and learn to coexist peacefully with your mother-in-law, or at least tolerate her presence without needing a paper bag for hyperventilation. Emetophobia. Look, nobody loves the idea of throwing up, but for people with emetophobia, vomiting is basically the apocalypse. If they even think about vomiting or hear someone talk about it, it would feel like they've just been told there's a nuclear weapon about to detonate. This phobia goes beyond disgust or irritation by the sight of regurgitated food, which, to be fair, nobody really likes. However, people with emetophobia would literally pass out from just seeing someone vomit. Emetophobes would literally rearrange their entire lives to avoid the slightest chance of a puke incident. We're talking about avoiding hospitals, restaurants, parties, and basically any place where fun might also come with a side of nausea. They'll even risk skipping meals altogether just to dodge the possibility. Now, the thing is, many cases of emetophobia trace back to a particularly vivid episode of vomiting. Maybe you were that kid who got sick on the school bus, or perhaps you once ate questionable seafood that turned out to be, well, too fresh. Sometimes the fear isn't even about you, it's about others. Watching someone else be sick, especially in a chaotic or public setting, can leave a strong impression. It's a scene most people forget, but for someone with emetophobia, it's like a mental loop of a horror movie on repeat. Philophobia. Picture this. You're scrolling through your favorite dating app when you actually match with someone who seems perfect. They've got the looks, the charm, and a dog named Pancake. You go on your first date and surprisingly everything goes really well. Like really, really well. He's funny, charming, and the perfect gentleman. Now, most people would be over the moon with excitement, but you'd feel a soul-crushing dread and sheer terror instead. Well, this terror you feel is because you have a phobia called philophobia, aka the soul-crushing fear of falling in love. If someone with this fear were to ever meet a person they liked, their heart would start racing, and it wouldn't be from excitement. This is because the minute you sense a spark of any type of attraction, your anxiety would kick in so hard, and suddenly, the mere thought of ever catching feelings in any way would feel like someone asked you to walk through fire and then lie on a bed of nails. To you, love feels less like a rom-com and more like a suspense thriller where you're running from your own emotions. The thing is, people who have this phobia often get it after they've been severely hurt by love before. Maybe the hurt was so bad that it sent them into a very dark mental space, so in order to protect themselves, the mind would literally build up fear as a defense mechanism. However, the good news is that just like any other phobia, the fear is all in your head, and with tools like mindfulness, self-compassion, and gradual exposure to the true concept of love, you will start to overcome it. Frigophobia. So it's a chilly winter morning, and your friends friends are thrilled about building a snowman. You, on the other hand, are bundled up like a human burrito, eyeing the snow like it's plotting your doom. And as soon as the temperature drops, your heart races, your palms sweat, and the mere thought of stepping outside makes you shiver. No, you're not just a winter hater. You might be dealing with Frigophobia, which is an absolute complete fear of cold. It's not just about disliking the winter months or skipping ice cream on a frosty day. For people with Frigophobia, coldness feels like a genuine threat, even when it's not. You'll literally be sweating buckets and trembling, and your heart will be beating 3 times faster. This phobia can lead to avoiding cold places, chilled foods, ice cubes, and even air-conditioned rooms. Forget Netflix and chill. For someone with Frigophobia, it's more like Netflix and panic. However, Frigophobia doesn't just show up because someone forgot their jacket one too many times. It's usually tied to deeper experiences or associations. Some people who develop the phobia might have serious trauma associated with extreme colds, like frostbite or hypothermia, so they might associate cold with danger. Sometimes people with poor circulation or conditions like Raynaud's syndrome, where fingers and toes react badly to cold, develop Frigophobia as a psychological response. Thankfully, Frigophobia isn't a life sentence, and with the right steps like therapy to help you reframe your ideas and thoughts about the cold and slowly introduce yourself to cold environment to help desensitize your fear, deep breathing, meditation, or progressive muscle relaxation can also help you calm down when anxiety strikes. Galeophobia. You finally brought your boyfriend home to have dinner. The food is great, the vibe is chill, and everyone there is having an awesome time. Well, that is, until someone cracks a joke and everyone bursts out, laughing. But instead of joining the fun, your palms sweat, your chest tightens, and you're desperately praying for the floor to open up and swallow you whole. It's not that the joke isn't funny, it's that the sound of laughter feels overwhelming and scary, like somehow it's aimed directly at you. Well, this is the textbook reaction of someone who has Galeophobia, the fear of laughter. Yes, you heard that right. Some people don't just avoid bad jokes, they avoid all jokes. Basically, the term Galeophobia is an intense fear of laughing, hearing someone laugh, or being the reason for it. For someone with this phobia, laughter isn't a symbol of joy or humor. Instead, it feels threatening, embarrassing, or downright terrifying. A giggle is literally an emotional sucker punch. The root of this fear is often tied to very deep emotional or social issues. Let's say you were once in a situation where people laughed at you in a mean and condescending way. Laughter can literally become a thing of intense fear, even when it's not directed at you. Also, a person who has low self-esteem might misinterpret innocent laughter as ridicule or criticism. This phobia can really make life very difficult for you if you have it, because you'll actively try to avoid every and any occasion that may involve people laughing. Imagine spending the rest of your life dodging giggles like it's a virus. That can be emotionally and psychologically very draining. However, there is a smile at the end of the tunnel because there are ways for you to conquer this fear. The first is to reframe laughter. Practice seeing laughter as a positive expression of joy rather than a weapon. And then try laughing on your own. Yes, it feels silly, but it can help desensitize the fear over time. Disomophobia. Let's say you're in an elevator with a few people and someone sneezes. No big deal, right? But then someone coughs and you notice people slightly adjust their positions, and you suddenly think that it's because of you. You immediately start to panic as you frantically try to recall whether you put on deodorant or brushed your teeth thoroughly. If this scenario plays out on repeat in your life, you might just have Disomophobia, which is simply the fear of smelling bad. Yes, it's a real thing, and no, it doesn't mean you actually smell bad. But for people with this phobia, the fear of being unpleasantly odorous is enough to create major anxiety that can dictate a person's thoughts, behaviors, and even social interactions. Disomophobia isn't just about skipping showers or forgetting a spritz of cologne. It's a genuine psychological condition accompanied by an intense, often irrational fear of emitting a bad odor, even when there's no evidence to support it. They would remain convinced that they might offend others with a bad smell to the point where it disrupts their daily lives. Like most phobias, Disomophobia doesn't just come out of thin air and often starts after you might have experienced intense humiliation or embarrassment as a child or teenager for smelling bad. Maybe you were mocked in gym class class or forgot to brush and floss your teeth one day, and everyone picked on you. These experiences leave emotional scars, creating an association between personal scent and humiliation. Sadly, autodysmophobia doesn't just affect the individual's confidence, it can also disrupt their relationships, career, and overall quality of life. Even participating in social interactions would become a minefield of self-doubt. Professional environments where close collaboration is often required may feel suffocating, and even leisure activities such as exercising or dining out might be avoided due to the fear of eating odorous foods or, God forbid, sweating.